What's up, YouTube pipe community? This is Southwest Piper coming to you Thanksgiving night. I hope everybody had a safe and wonderful holiday. I know I did. As you can see, my eyes are a little red, a little sleepy. It's not because of the drink, just a little bit of a long day, so nice to unwind. And yeah, let's see what we can get into for tonight's video. Gonna be doing a little bit of a first impression on some let's see, focus there, bud. Autumn evening. And I think I'm just gonna ramble a little bit. Before I get into this, I'm gonna smoke this a little bit just so I can get into some flavors that I'm getting out of it. Smoking that new Peterson pipe. Sorry, light's a little bright right now because it's dark in the garage, so I had an extra light. So smoking this autumn evening in this new Peterson. All right, so another Thanksgiving dinner in the books. All things considered, our dinner went pretty smooth. All of the dishes that my wife and I committed to bringing went well. We had a little bit of a hiccup with cooking the turkey, but we managed. We managed to overcome that little obstacle. Instead of oven roasting our turkey this year, we last minute decided to try a turkey roaster, electric turkey roaster, and had some unsuccessful attempts with that years prior, so we were a little nervous, but it worked out. It worked out pretty well. But man, aside from the meal, Thanksgiving is I often tell people that Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And you know, not that like I'm lying about that, but it's just that it really is. I love the cheer and the atmosphere that goes into like coming into Christmas, but the actual holiday itself, I like Thanksgiving, and tonight was a real testament as to why I like the holiday. we got to share the dinner table with a cousin of mine and her husband and their two little girls, and we were with my in-laws, and my wife's grandpa was also in town. He's potentially moving out this way, and so he was in town for Thanksgiving, and I mean, man, what a treat! First, I didn't know that my grandfather, my wife's grandfather, was a World War II vet, and so while I was enjoying a pipe after getting all the food going, he was sharing with me some of his war memories, and very surreal stories. And we got on the subject of what is our favorite time period in American history. And I think that obviously excludes current times, because that you don't technically count current events as history, right? And and he expressed with me that his favorite time period is the Civil War, and he was telling me sharing with me all this knowledge he has about the Civil War and things. Civil War, American Civil War, is just what a tragic time. And so all the knowledge he was sharing with me was very captivating. And I was sharing with him that I tend to be really enthralled with that time period between about 1870 to about 1920, 1930. And I think for me, it was a time where a lot of things in America were really uncertain. Very sprawling nation at that point. A lot of advances, technology, industry, but a lot of uncertainty as well. And I'm fascinated by how people overcame or embraced such uncertainty with little means. I am enjoying this autumn evening. When you open the bag, that maple sweetness hits you right in the face. And I was a little wary, because I'm typically the kind of person where if that topping is over the top, it becomes a little bit of a deterrent for me. But so this is my second pipe of autumn evening. And the flavor, as I smoke it, is not. I hardly pick up that topping. Yeah, it's sweet, but it's not. it's not what I smell in the jar. It's interesting. I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, but let's get back to my rambling. So me and my wife's grandfather, we went back and forth just sharing our contemplations about very uncertain times in American history, and uh, and it just got me thinking that that's what I love about the Thanksgiving holiday. It's the chance to sit down and have a conversation, and that's it. Have a conversation and deepen an understanding, deepen a perception, or change a perception. So what I noticed, and I don't know if this is the tobacco or if this is the pipe, but because this is a new pipe, it doesn't burn hot in my mouth, but it burns, the bowl gets kind of hot. And I typically don't have that problem, so I think it makes me think that it's because of the topping on this tobacco, but I don't know. So you got to smoke it real slow. Something else we did tonight that was a little unique or different for our typical Thanksgiving meal. My mother-in-law, she gave a dinner prayer, but part of that dinner prayer included a time of reflection on those people, those of our family members who have passed on. And sorry for all the car noises. I'm out in the garage and door's slightly open here so I can get some of that cool night air. But yeah, so part of the reflection was just remembering those people, our loved ones who aren't there to celebrate the holiday with us anymore. And it got me thinking, because I think, typically, Thanksgiving, you're giving thanks. You go around, some people go around the table and they mention something that they're thankful for the holidays or from the year. And this was kind of like that. Not that we are thankful that our loved ones aren't with us, but thankful that their memory is still there, and thankful Thankful that their memories carry on in us. So that was unique. So I will say this: my first bowl of this, I felt like it was a fairly one-dimensional tobacco. Um, but as I sit here and smoke it again, my second bowl, on the retro, I don't know, like I'm picking up some sort of like an earthy, grassy, let's quite say hay, but kind of a grassy flavor. The sweetness does come through from the maple. And I enjoy it. I do enjoy this. I like this. It's definitely going to be one that I come to as the evenings get cooler and cooler. I'll be coming to this blend many a night. It's got a little spice to it too. Anyway, I'm gonna share with you guys a quick, somewhat funny Thanksgiving story from years past. My family was always the kind of family where if you had nowhere to go for Thanksgiving, you were always welcome at our house. It was something my dad told all of his co-workers, friends, you name it. If you didn't have a place to go, you could always come to our house for Thanksgiving. One year, my parents got invited to a Thanksgiving dinner, and we got it. I was a little bit older at the time, so I think I was about 19 or 20 at the time. So we got invited as well. Me and my younger sibling. And I was sort of committed to it, but I had a friend, and called him Mikey. And Mikey was sad. He was telling me how he used to always go to his grandpa's house for Thanksgiving every single year, but the last couple of years it's been difficult because of his mom has fallen on hard times, and he just really missed going to his grandfather's house for Thanksgiving. And so I told Mikey, I said, "Where's your grandpa live?" Well, he lives in Bullhead City, Arizona. And at the time we were living in, me and Mike were living in San Bernardino, California. So that drive isn't too bad. It's only about 3.5, 4 hours. And so I asked Mike, I said, "Your grandpa's doing Thanksgiving at his house this year?" "Yeah." "Let's go." We were both excited. We jumped at the time I had a little Hyundai Elantra. We packed enough clothes for just an overnight. Gas up, and we head on down the highway. And I'd been to Bullhead City before. I used to play in in punk rock bands, and we played Bullhead City a few times, so I was familiar with the area. We're flying down the highway. I mean, we're a couple of knucklehead kids, and we're doing 90, 95 the whole way there. 4-hour drive. We got there in 3. And we're approaching Bullhead City. You see the big sign that says "Welcome to Bullhead." And I just asked Mikey, "All right, Mikey, where do we got to go?" Mikey starts craning his neck over the dash. And then he spots this little dirt road just before the city. Turn on, make a right. Slow down. Turn onto this dirt road. I look at Mikey, he looks at me, and I was like, "Are you sure about this?" He said, "Yeah, I haven't been out here for a few years, but I'm pretty sure this is the road." No streets, no street signs, no fire road markers, nothing that says that this is like an accessible road. But we do it. We go down this dirt road. And we're on this road for a good mile and a half, come upon 2 miles. It's not a very windy road. It just goes out in the desert. Started to get me a little worried because I was like, "Mike, if we catch a flat out here or something happens to my car, we're 2 miles out in the middle of nowhere, man." He said, I know, but this is the road. Stay on the road for just a little while longer. Pull up. Now, this is the best way I can describe this. You guys know when you see those old Western movies that depict a town and all of the shops and stores of that town, they're all lined up in a row. They seemingly it's just one big building, right? And there's just kind of like different levels of roofs and just doors, and it just seems like it's one big building, right? We pull up to a house that looks just like that idea. It's Mikey's grandpa's house. And we pull up, and we go inside. We're greeted by Mikey's, I can't remember if it was his grandmother. I don't think it was. I think it was like an aunt. And we go inside, and it was just the wildest looking house. It looks like, picture that old Western style storefront shop scenario. And if you could imagine what it would look like if you walked into something like that, that's how it looked inside the house. And I was like looking at Mikey, and he was excited. He was excited. And he introduced me to his grandpa. It's a real kind of frail, but definitely a evidence of a hardworking individual. And they led us back to the kitchen, and we got there well after the Thanksgiving dinner. Because like when me and Mikey decided we were gonna go, we decided to go like at 1:12 or 1 in the afternoon, and we got there, just before 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening. So they had an early dinner, so we got there a little late. And so Mikey, we go to the kitchen, and it's just kind of like leftover stuff, no turkey or ham or whatever, but there was just cases and cases of Coca-Cola and trays and trays and trays of dinner rolls. me and Mikey at the time, we were both 19-year-old guys, and also at the time, it didn't matter to us that there was no turkey or ham, because at the time, me, Mikey, and a bunch of our other friends, we were vegan, so it didn't matter to us that there wasn't any meat. We were perfectly okay with the Coca-Cola and dinner rolls, and I think there was like a little bit of like some sort of like Jello salad. I'm not sure what it was, but we stuck with the rolls and the Coke. We had our fill. Mikey's grandpa proceeded to go back to the living room where he was watching. I don't know what he was watching, but it was being broadcasted through rabbit ear antenna, and it was just the most fuzziest picture. He fell asleep. So me and Mikey went and sat in the living room with his grandpa, who was asleep. Mikey was telling me just how all the things he used to do when they would come up there as kids, or he would. And I noticed Mikey's grandpa had fallen asleep with a lit cigarette in his hand. And I looked at Mikey, and I looked at the cigarette, and Mikey was like, "Yeah, he does that." I was like, "What?" And you look below Mikey's grandpa's hand, and there are burn marks in the carpet. So he does it often. Mikey's grandpa wakes up, we chit-chat for a bit, and I get the story about how he came upon this house that looks like a town prop out of an old Western film. Turns out, that's exactly what it was supposed to be. Apparently, the original owners of that house intended it to be kind of like a Western carnival area that kids could come to back in the 70s or the 80s, and essentially pay an entrance fee, and there would be rides, and they could go through the different shops and kind of experience what it would be like to live, during the time period. Mikey's grandpa got a sweet deal on that property. Well, Mikey's grandpa found out, because he always wanted to add on to it. What he found out was that it wasn't structurally sound to add a second floor. So he built it out long ways. So this house started with like one main structure, and over the years, Mikey's grandpa added room after room after room to the left and right of this one structure. I mean, we're talking about, I think in New York they call those, what do they call them? Like rail car apartments or something. Basically it's like one long room, and you have to go through one room to get to the ones down the hallway. Basically, that's what it was like. So, yeah. So we've got kind of late after we were chit-chatting, and so Mikey was like, "Well, I want to sleep in the room that I used to sleep in when I was younger, and I would come up here." And turned out it was the room, the main room where Mikey's grandpa, his living room, the kitchen was located. Mikey's room that he wanted to sleep in was 3 rooms down. And Mikey's grandpa only had heat and electricity for that one main room at the center. So we had to walk through all of these dark rooms filled with the most terrifying furniture. Like somebody built it out of like scrap pallets and I don't even know what else, but it's like scrap pallets and like I don't even like old coyote fur. And we get to this room that Mikey would sleep in as a kid. This room was small, like a room that was maybe about 6 by 6. It had all it had in there was it had an extension cord, if I remember correctly, that ran from wherever this outlet came in from this door that led to the outside, which was terrifying. And that extension cord was meant to power a couple of heating blankets. So, and it got pretty chilly that night. I think it got down, I want to say it got down into, I don't know, the 20s, 30s at night. Maybe, you know, that's not that cold, but when you're coming from Southern California where your coldest night gets to be about 50 degrees, 60 degrees sometimes, it was pretty chilly. And me and Mikey, we slept in this room. And I'll never forget that story. I'm glad I experienced it. Glad I got the story of how Mikey's grandpa came to acquire that property. I'll never see anything like that ever again. Alright guys, so I'm going to finish smoking this bowl, but I'm going to sign off because this video is getting pretty long. But Southwest Piper, rambling. So, let's give you a couple last thoughts on first impression of this autumn evening. I very much like how it smells very strong of maple in the jar, but when I smoke it, that topping is very much subdued. But I'm digging this like earthiness, a little bit of spice, this kind of grassy, almost kind of like rotten leaf. I don't know how to describe it. Kind of like a rotten leaf note, you know, like rotten foliage in the forest. But I'm into it. I think if you guys have recommended it through videos and I've come across it, thank you. This is a very good blend. Alright, so I'm going to sign off. Again, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know it can tend to be a holiday where different points of views can clash, and yeah, so I just want to say I hope it was fulfilling. I hope it was a chance to reconnect with friends and family and over good food, and yeah, if you were working this holiday, if you were in emergency services and you were working, Thank you for your service. I'm talking about EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, police officers, our armed forces, um, people that work for utility companies, uh, nurses, doctors. If you were working this holiday, making sure other people were safe while we were all enjoying a meal, thank you for your service, and I hope you get your meal uh, later or tomorrow or at some point. But thank you. All right, guys. Long video. I approve. Doesn't need my approval, but I really like Autumn Evening. Southwest Piper signing off.